Hi, so Scott. In this video, I'll be showing you how to make a flare short. 2 yards of fabric here. And the first thing I'll be doing, because I want to cut the back and the front together, I'm going to be cutting the front, back and the front together at once. I'm going to fold my fabric into equal half like this. Then I'll be folding it in bias form like this. Okay? Then I'll be folding it in bias form like this. So here I have the four for the front and the back. You know it's flare, so I don't need the a part to be bigger than the other. Okay, so this is how I'm going to be folding it, and I'll be putting in my measurement. The waist I'm working with is 29 divided by 4. That's 7.25. So at the point which I have 7.25, so let's say 7.5. So like let's say here plus sewing allowance to stitch it together. So let's say at this point now, at this point, I'll be using 11 for my cut depth because I want it to be like an eye waist. So I really do not need this part. And my hip, I'll be using 2.5 above. So on this part, I really do not need it. It can be as big as it goes, but I'll make sure I have um, the hip I'm working with. The hip I'm working with is hip 42. So I'll make sure I have 42. It does not have to be like super tight, non-free at that point. So 42 divided by 4. 42 divided by 4. That's 10.5. So and here I have 12. So that's good. So I'm just going to straighten it up on that point. But if possible, I bend it a little. But I don't want the crotch to look funny. I'm just going to straighten it up like this. So, and I check the measurement again. So I have 12 and the measurement is 10 points. So that's okay. Then on this point, I'll just go in by extra 2 inches from here. So I'll just make sure I have it perfect. Okay. So basically what I'm so concerned about is my waist and my hip, in the sense that is enough to cover for my material, my hip circumference. The material is enough to cover for the hip circumference. So for the inseam, I don't want it so long. So maybe about 10 inches depth for the inseam. I don't want it too long. You know, we are working on a short. So it's a flare. So depends on how you want your flare to go. The flare. So this is 21. Yeah, so I'll make sure I have that same measurement on here. Okay, let me make it 22 because of folding and everything. So let me make it 22. You know, you can't fold this one so much. You can't fold it with 2 inches. So I'm using 22. So this is what it's going to be like. So if you do not want to add a pocket to the side, you don't want a pocket on this side, you can decide to leave it closed and just sew here together. But I would like to add inner pockets to mine. I like to have a pocket on the side. I mean, what is a trouser without pockets? So that is why I will be splitting the side of my own trouser. Okay. So yes, I want to have a front and back since I've slitted it at the side. So that means I'll be joining here again. It's going to reduce the hip measurement. So now I want to have a front and a back on it. So what I'll just do now is to move here in a bit. I'll be adding a dart to the back. Move that in a bit and just leave this extra allowance on the back so it's not so tight on my hip circumference. Okay, because of the seam. So this is going to serve like a seam and it is allowance for the side that I just opened. Okay. I'm just adding. Okay. And here you have it. This is the cutting of the flare trouser. So the next thing is I'm going to be using these pieces to add in my band, my pockets. I'll use 5. I don't want to be 2.5. I'll use 5. So after folding my pocket, my material like this, I'm going to put the pocket like this, laying flat, making sure the front is laying flat, like so. Because if you do not, it's not going to lie flat on the body of the trouser. So this is how I'm going to be fixing the pocket. So from here, I'll just create a circle, like, and if you want, you can not do a circle. Let me just stop here so that pocket will be big inside. Okay, so this is what I'm gonna have in my pocket. So now I'm going to cut the pocket itself out. So I'll be using 2.5 by 6.5 for my pockets. That's correct. Okay. So I'm cutting everything out entirely. Okay. So, and that is that for my trouser. The next thing is to sew everything together.